Hey guys, thanks for coming back. Glad to see you. Pull up a chair. Anytime throughout this video, I would love it if you'd like, or thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you're feeling. If you would subscribe, I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to get my base built up a little bit. I'm trying to pump out a video every evening. I appreciate all you guys coming back. I appreciate your words of encouragement and your kindness. And one gentleman commented on 2 videos ago saying that, you know, the bugging in necessities. Sir, I didn't forget that stuff. I'm trying to keep YouTube. I'm trying to stay on their good side. So I guess I could say boomsticks and freedom seeds like everybody else does. But yes, that's absolutely you need that for bugging in, because you don't know what's coming your way, and the more of it you can get, the better. I apologize for that. But tonight I'm going to talk about, it'll probably be a 2-part thing because I don't want to bore you guys to death for an hour. But I'm going to do some, just basic first aid stuff. And I want to start off with, it's not really first aid, but it helps to stress the importance of prepping. The importance of being ready for whatever happens. I mean, for you, your family, whoever's involved in your household, you want to make sure that you're ready. And what I want to bring to you is, have you ever read about or seen somebody dying of starvation? It's absolutely excruciating. I mean, you can think, everybody in here has probably went, 10, 12 hours without eating. Hell, the keto diet. I've done that. Very successful with it. I plan on starting again next Monday. But, you fast. You can fast for 3 or 4 days. At the end of that 3 or 4 days, you're ready to eat your own arm. So you can imagine, typically it takes, the longest record I could find was 71 days for somebody it took to starve to death. But it's typically just 3 to 4 or 5 weeks. And that's with water, if you have water. But it's like, it's 3 to 4 different phases. I've got it wrote down here, just notes so I don't forget anything. But the first phase, your body, your glucose levels are maintained by the proteins and the fats stored in your body. That it turns it into glucose. So you're good for the first, say, 3 days to a week before it starts going south. And then the second, your brain is running on the ketones made from the fat deposits in your body and what little bit of natural glucose you have left, which is, it's minimal. And anybody, I'm type 2 diabetes. I'm on insulin, just 1 shot a week, but my sugar's all over the place. So, this sucks. I hope that absolutely never happens. But after your fat reserves are depleted and it runs out of that to turn into glucose, you know what it's going to attack next. It wants protein. Where's protein? Your muscles. So your muscles, you will be depleted so fast. And your immune system just goes to crap. The common cold could possibly put you in the dirt. Not to mention your muscles are eating away. You're not going to want to get up and do anything. Even eat. Like if you had the chance to eat, you would be able to eat so little at a time. The possibility of you actually surviving is very, very slim by this point. Then the last stages, what you usually die for, they won't rule it as dying of starvation. What happens is your immune system is so compromised that somebody sneezed 2 blocks away, it's likely it's going to affect you enough of a cold to kill you. Or your body is so dehydrated that you go into cardiac arrhythmia or a severe heart attack. And that's how it ends. With starvation. And can you imagine what that 3 to 4 weeks is going to feel like? I mean, I'm a godly man, but I'd almost myself and just beg for forgiveness before I did it, as opposed to starving to death, because it is not pleasant. So again, I can't stress enough how important it is to prep. Stock it to the rafters. I mean, you guys got to have food, okay? You can live without a lot of things, but food and water, you cannot. Okay. Now that all the doom and gloom is over, I'm going to move on to something, especially this time of year, and I will be covering like heat strokes tomorrow night. But this time of year, if you know, grid down, you could possibly be in a hypothermic situation. Okay, and the symptoms for hypothermia, the first symptoms is like shivering and reduced circulation. Like, you know, your hands, your extremities get tingly, and you know, you just can't shake the shiver. You know, you can't get rid of it. And then eventually your pulse either, you know, gets slowing down, becomes weak, and your breathing starts to decrease, and you start to notice lack of coordination. Like, say you're trying to take a drink or something, and you know, you pour it on yourself. You know, it's just little things like that you're going to have to watch for. And then your respirations become more weak and possibly even stop. And you start to fall in and out of consciousness. By this point, if you're by yourself, it's probably too late. I mean, I'm not going to say it's probably too late, but you're going to have to know what to do and do it quick. Hopefully to God, nobody has to go through this by themselves. But first aid, if needed, I mean, if it's possible, seek shelter, of course, get in and out of the cold. And if it's needed, get all their wet clothes off. If it's, you know, happened to have been falling in the water type of situation, or, you know, whatever it is, excuse me, or if you're just without power and somebody starts slipping into it, you know, you need to just, you know, don't worry about the wet clothes and, you know, drying them off, but you want to get them, their trunk warm first, from the neck down to their waist, their groin area. You want to get that warm first. Don't do the hands and the feet, the extremities first, because that could possibly put somebody into shock, which is going to just make your situation 10 times worse. So you want to get the trunk of the body warm first by wrapping the person in blankets, or just putting more clothes on them, you know, but trying to not get the extremities warm. Do not put them, excuse me, do not put the person in warm water, because that can cause instant heart arrhythmias, which could lead, I mean, to shock, to a heart attack. Don't do that. If you're using hot water bottles or hot packets, like the little hand, you know, warmer things, you want to always keep them in a cloth or something between them and the skin, because that can burn and they not even know it's burning because they're so cold and numb. But really all you can do is just gradually warm the person up, and that's really all there is to it. I mean, don't use warm water to do it. You don't really want to use water at all. You just work, like I said, from the neck to the groin, get all of this warm first, start there, and then work your way out. And eventually the feelings and everything will start coming back, and, you know, everything, you should have it all under control. Okay. Excuse me. Now, minor burns. Now, of course, for a major burn, there's not really a first aid. I mean, there is first aid for that, but I'm just covering like the minor things, like accidents that could happen around the house being bugged in. I might cover some more major things tomorrow evening, but for right now, I'm just doing like the little minor things that's most likely to happen. I'm not saying it can't happen, because we all know anything can happen. But for a minor burn, cool the burn with cool, not cold, water or a cool compress until the pain starts to ease. Because you don't want to, instantly... Sorry. You don't instantly want to start working on somebody and they're in excruciating pain. Pain. So, cool it down with cool water, not cold, and a cool compress. Then, most likely, you're going to have... I know everybody's got burnt probably, and the blisters that come up. Do not pop those blisters. I'm bad at it. I can't stand them. They bug me to death. As soon as they come up, I pop them. But for the most part, we're in a very sterile situation right now. But what that liquid in those blisters do is that protects it from being infected, and it helps the healing process. If it is popped, clean it with water and mild soap, and apply some kind of antibacterial ointment, or just some Vaseline, anything to keep it moist, because once it's cooled, you want to apply aloe vera or some kind of lotion to keep the heat out of it, and it'll keep it from drying and cracking and being a lot more painful. And then once you do that, you're going to want to cover it with sterile gauze, or a sterile gauze bandage, but you don't want to use the white fluffy kind. You want to use the smooth, because you don't want anything sticking to that. If any of y'all have ever had a bad burn and you pull that band-aid off and it's stuck in there, you've probably peed a little. It hurts. So you want to keep it moist, keep it covered, and change the bandage as you should. Minor cuts and scrapes. First I'm going to turn the okay. Where was I? Minor cuts and scrapes. Okay, first you want to stop the bleeding, of course, by applying gentle pressure with a clean bandage or cloth. And you want to elevate the wound up above the heart if possible. That'll help with the stopping of the bleeding. And like I said again, this is just minor cuts, scrapes, like a razor blade or knife or something across the hand. I'm not talking about a gunshot wound or being stabbed, something like that. This is just everyday, run-of-the-mill stuff that happens around the house that might be severe enough you would need a doctor, but can't have one, but you can handle it on your own. Then you want to clean the wound and rinse with water, and use soap around the wound, but don't let soap get in the wound, because a lot of soaps, that will just irritate it and make it more prone to infection, funny enough. And if there's things down in the cut, just get you a pair of tweezers or whatever you can find that's little and you can pinch with. Clean those really good with alcohol and remove any kind of dirt and debris that you can't get out with just plain water. And then you want to cover with sterile gauze or Band-Aid. I'm sorry, hold on just a second. Sorry. You want to apply your antibacterial ointment or petroleum jelly. Same thing, something to keep it, nice and moist. And cover the wound. Apply bandage, rolled gauze, or gauze held with paper medical tape. And you want to change the dressing at least once a day, or as it gets dirty or you get it wet, something like that, you'll want to go ahead and change it. And I know that, if it comes to SHTF, your medical supplies might be a little limited, but, you got to keep yourself clean and taken care of, because, you get an infection, antibiotics are going to be pretty much obsolete and stuff like that. So, you're going to, if you have to use a little bit more of your stuff, you're just going to have to, it's better to be healthy than, being stingy with your stuff and end up with worse, problems. But I think I rambled on enough for this evening. I'm actually really happy to get this up and out this early in the evening. So, like I said last night, if you could leave me some comments on stuff you'd like to see me do a video on, and I will see what I can do. Like I said, I try not to get too political because we get that enough every day. You know, I get so sick of politics. But the politics is why we're here, a lot of it, so most of it. But anyway, thank you all for coming by. God bless each and every one of y'all. Papa Prepper out.